I found out my chemotherapy had been canceled when I arrived at the oncology center for my third treatment, and the receptionist told me my account had been closed due to non-payment. That's impossible, I said, gripping the edge of her desk. My father handles the insurance and payment arrangements. She looked at her computer screen with genuine sympathy. I'm sorry, Miss Harper. Your account was closed yesterday by Robert Harper. It says here the family elected to discontinue treatment. The words didn't make sense. Elected to discontinue treatment. Like cancer was optional. Like staying alive was a choice my family could make for me. I called Dad immediately from the parking lot, my hands shaking so badly I could barely dial. Dad, what happened with my chemotherapy? Cassandra, we need to talk. Come home. I'm supposed to be getting treatment right now. Dr. Martinez said missing sessions could. Come home. We'll explain everything. I drove to my childhood house in a daze, my mind racing through possibilities. Insurance problems, billing errors, something that could be fixed with a phone call. I found my parents and my sister Olivia sitting around the kitchen table with wedding planning materials spread across the surface. Fabric samples, catering menus, venue brochures. Everything needed to plan the perfect wedding. Sit down, sweetheart, Mom said, her voice taking on that patronizing tone she used when she thought I was being difficult. I need to know why my cancer treatment was canceled. Dad cleared his throat. Cassandra, we've made a difficult decision as a family. What decision? The money we've been spending on your treatments, it's better spent on the healthy one. He gestured toward Olivia, who was admiring her engagement ring and avoiding my eyes. I stared at him. The money is better spent on the healthy one? She has her whole life ahead of her, Dad continued, as if this were a reasonable business decision. A wedding, a marriage, probably children. You have. Well, we don't know what you have. I have stage 2 breast cancer. I have an 85% survival rate with treatment. Dr. Martinez told you this. Mom leaned forward. Honey, you always were the dramatic one. We're not saying you can't get treatment. We're just saying we can't pay for both your medical bills and Olivia's wedding. So you chose the wedding. We chose to invest in a future that's guaranteed, Dad said. Olivia is getting married to a wonderful man. She's healthy, she's young, she's starting a family. That's a sure thing. I looked at Olivia, who was still examining her manicure, like this conversation didn't concern her. Olivia, do you have anything to say about this? She shrugged without looking up. I mean, I didn't ask them to choose. But if they have to pick between my wedding and your situation, I understand why they picked the wedding. My situation? Your cancer thing. Whatever. I felt something inside me crack. Not break, crack. Like ice developing fracture lines before it shatters completely. How much is the wedding costing? That's not really your concern, Mom said. How much? Dad shifted uncomfortably. $45,000. But it's an investment in $45,000. That's exactly what my complete chemotherapy treatment costs. See? You understand the situation, Mom said, like I'd just agreed with their logic. I understand that you valued a party more than my life. Don't be so dramatic, Olivia finally said, looking up from her nails. You can get treatment later. I can only get married once. Actually, statistically, you'll probably get married 2.3 times, I said quietly. But I can only get cancer treatment now, while it's still treatable. The silence that followed was broken by Dad's phone ringing. He looked at the caller ID and frowned. It's Dr. Martinez. I told him we'd handle this privately. Answer it, I said. Dad reluctantly picked up, putting the call on speaker. Mr. Harper, I'm calling about Cassandra's treatment. There seems to be some confusion about her payment status. Doctor, we've decided to postpone the treatment for financial reasons. Postpone. Dr. Martinez's voice was sharp. Mr. Harper, cancer doesn't wait for financial convenience. Every week we delay treatment increases the risk of metastasis. We understand that, but we have other family priorities right now. Other priorities? The doctor's voice rose. Sir, your daughter has a very treatable form of cancer, but only if we act now. In 6 months, this conversation could be very different. We're willing to take that risk, Dad said, and I felt the crack inside me widen. Mr. Harper, with all due respect, you're not the one taking the risk. Your daughter is. After Dad hung up, I sat in the kitchen chair feeling like I was floating outside my own body. My family had just sentenced me to death for a wedding. They'd chosen flowers and centerpieces over chemotherapy and radiation. I need some air, I said and walked outside. I sat in my car for an hour, not going anywhere, just thinking. Then I made a series of phone calls. The first was to my best friend Marcus, who I'd known since college. They did what? His voice was incredulous. I explained the situation. The canceled treatment, the wedding priorities, the investment in the healthy one. Cass, that's not just cruel. I think that might be criminal. Like, withholding medical care from a dependent family member. I'm not a dependent. I'm 28 years old. But if they agreed to pay for treatment and then withdrew that support without notice, I need to figure out how to pay for this myself. How much do you need? $45,000 for the complete treatment. Marcus was quiet for a moment. I have some money saved. Not all of it, but maybe enough to get you started. The second call was to my cousin Jenna, who worked as a social worker and understood family dysfunction better than anyone I knew. Cass, what your parents are doing is called medical neglect, even if you're an adult. There are resources for situations like this. What kind of resources? Emergency medical funds, charity care programs, payment plans. But first, you need to document what's happening. Record conversations, save emails, get everything in writing. The third call was to Dr. Martinez's office. Dr. Martinez, this is Cassandra Harper. I want to restart my treatment, but I need to discuss payment options. Cassandra, of course. Can you come in tomorrow morning? We have several programs that might help. That evening at dinner, my family was in full wedding planning mode. They'd apparently decided that canceling my cancer treatment was just a minor logistical issue that had been resolved. Cass, what do you think of these centerpieces? Olivia asked, showing me photos on her phone. I think they're expensive. They're only $300 each, and we need 12 of them. That's $3,600 for table decorations. It's my wedding day. It needs to be perfect. I looked around the table at my family discussing flower arrangements and menu options with the same casual attitude they'd used to discuss discontinuing my cancer treatment. I restarted my chemotherapy today, I said quietly. Everyone stopped talking. How? Dad asked. I worked out a payment plan with the hospital. I'll be paying it off for the next 5 years, but I'll be alive to make those payments. Cassandra, we told you we couldn't afford both. I heard what you told me, and I decided that my life was worth going into debt for, even if you didn't. Mom's face tightened. We're not made of money, sweetheart. We had to make a choice. Yes, you did. And I made a different choice. Olivia looked annoyed. This doesn't affect the wedding budget, does it? I stared at my sister. The healthy one, the one with her whole life ahead of her, the one worth investing in. No, Olivia. Your wedding budget is safe. Good. I was worried you were going to guilt everyone into downsizing. That's when I pulled out my phone and showed them something I'd been working on all afternoon. I started a GoFundMe for my cancer treatment, I said. Dad frowned. Why would you do that? Because I need $45,000 for treatment, and I don't have it. You're embarrassing the family by begging online, Mom said. I'm saving my life by asking for help when my family wouldn't provide it. I showed them the screen. I posted it 4 hours ago. I've already raised $8,000. The room went quiet. $8,000? Olivia's voice was sharp. From strangers? From friends, co-workers, extended family members, and yes, some strangers who think saving someone's life is more important than having the perfect wedding. I scrolled through the donations and comments. Listen to this. From your Aunt Helen. I'm so sorry your parents made this choice. Here's $500 to help with treatment. And this one. From your college roommate Sarah. Can't believe your family chose a wedding over chemo. Here's $200, wish it could be more. Dad's face was getting red. You told people we refused to pay for your treatment? I told people exactly what happened. That my family canceled my cancer treatment to pay for a wedding because the money was better spent on the healthy one. That makes us sound horrible, Mom protested. It makes you sound exactly like what you are. I kept reading comments. From your high school teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez. Every student should be supported by their family during illness. $100 for your treatment. From Mark at your office, your family's priorities are messed up. Here's $50. People are judging us, Olivia said, looking at her phone. My friends are asking me about this. What are you telling them? I'm telling them it's complicated. It's not complicated. You wanted a $45,000 wedding more than you wanted me to live. By the end of the week, my GoFundMe had raised $52,000. The extra money would cover follow-up care, medications, and living expenses during treatment. But more importantly, The story had spread throughout our community. Dad's coworkers had seen it. Mom's book club was talking about it. Olivia's fiancé's family was asking questions. The social pressure was immense. Dr. Martinez called me with an update. Cassandra, I wanted you to know that 3 different patients have asked me about your situation. Apparently your story is inspiring other people to advocate for their own medical care. That's good, I guess. It is good. But I also wanted to tell you that someone contacted my office about making a donation directly to the hospital's cancer fund in your name. Who? A local businessman who read your story. He's donating $100,000 to help other patients whose families can't or won't support their treatment. 2 weeks later, Olivia called me. Cass, I need to talk to you. What about? David's family is asking questions about the wedding budget. They want to know why we're spending so much money on one day when... She trailed off. When your sister is crowdfunding her cancer treatment? Yeah. What did you tell them? I told them it was none of their business. But David says his parents are wondering what kind of family they're marrying into. What kind of family are they marrying into, Olivia? She was quiet for a long moment. Maybe we could scale back some of the wedding expenses. The centerpieces, maybe the upgraded catering package. Why would you do that? Because people are looking at me differently now. Like I'm some kind of monster who cares more about flowers than my sister's life. Aren't you? That's not fair. Isn't it? You literally said you could only get married once, but I could get cancer treatment later. I was upset. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? She couldn't answer. A month later, Olivia did scale back her wedding. Significantly. The final cost was around $15,000, still expensive, but not life-threatening expensive. She never explicitly apologized for choosing her wedding over my treatment, but she did quietly donate $5,000 to the cancer fund that had been established in my name. My parents took longer to come around. They couldn't understand why their private family decision had become public criticism. We were just trying to make the best choice for everyone, Dad said during one of our conversations. No, you were making the choice that was easiest for you. Supporting my cancer treatment would have been difficult and expensive and uncertain. Supporting a wedding was fun and celebratory and guaranteed to make everyone happy. That's not how we saw it. That's exactly how you saw it. You said the money was better spent on the healthy one because she had her whole life ahead of her. 6 months later, I finished my chemotherapy. The treatment was successful, and my prognosis was excellent. At my final appointment, Dr. Martinez congratulated me not just on my medical recovery, but on my advocacy. Your story has changed how we approach family financial counseling, he said. We now have protocols in place to help patients whose families can't support their treatment. That's good. And the cancer fund established in your name has helped 12 other patients get treatment they otherwise couldn't afford. A year later, I was cancer-free and working as a patient advocate at the hospital. My job was to help other patients navigate insurance issues, family conflicts, and financial barriers to treatment. My first case was a 19-year-old named Emma whose parents had cut off her insurance because they disapproved of her girlfriend. My parents say I chose my lifestyle over their support, Emma told me during our first meeting. And what do you say? I say I chose my life over their bigotry. Good. Now let's figure out how to pay for your treatment. As I helped Emma fill out financial aid applications and connect with LGBTQ+ support organizations, I thought about the conversation my family had around that kitchen table a year earlier. The money is better spent on the healthy one. They'd been wrong about everything. The money wasn't better spent on a wedding. It was better spent on saving lives. Olivia didn't have her whole life ahead of her, while I had nothing. We both had futures worth investing in. And I hadn't been the dramatic one. I'd been the realistic one, fighting for my life while they planned a party. The wedding happened, eventually. I went, wearing a wig that covered my hair as it grew back from chemo. I danced at the reception and smiled for photos and pretended everything was normal. But when people asked about my hair, I told them exactly why I was wearing a wig. I told them about the choice my family had made, about the GoFundMe campaign, about the importance of supporting family members through medical crises. Some people were uncomfortable with my honesty. They wanted me to pretend that everything was fine, that families always support each other, that love conquers all financial considerations. But some people needed to hear the truth. That sometimes families make terrible choices. That sometimes you have to fight for your own life when no one else will. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to let people's poor priorities become your death sentence. 3 years later, I'm still cancer-free. I'm also still paying off my treatment, but those payments feel like victories. Proof that I chose life over my family's comfort, that I valued my future more than their convenience. Olivia and David are still married. They're happy as far as I know, but we don't talk much anymore. Not because I'm angry, but because I finally understood something important that day in the oncology center. Some people are worth fighting for, and some people are worth fighting against. And sometimes they're the same people.